Hello! We are starting into our second week of reading through the New Testament in 2026. This week we are focusing on chapters 6 through 10 of the book of Matthew. Now, chapters 6 and 7 finish up the Sermon on the Mount, this sermon that Jesus is giving to his followers. And it's here that he teaches them a couple of very interesting things, starting with the idea of praying and fasting and giving to the needy. These are all things that are to be done secretly, not for show. And then he tells them how to pray and gives us the Our Father who is in heaven, hallowed be your name. And he continues with that line of thinking. And then he gets into chapter 7 and we read he's teaching about not judging others, because if we judge people, we ourselves will be judged by that same measurement. He talks about God's provision for us to not be anxious about things and to trust in God's goodness. And then he talks about trying to recognize how we should be recognized by our actions, by the fruit that we produce. And so he encourages us to do to others what we would have them do to us. Now, immediately after he's done with this sermon, he comes and he heals a leper. He heals a person who is a servant of a centurion by a word. He doesn't even have to go and touch the person. And then we have him healing Simon Peter's mother-in-law and then a bunch of sick people. We see that he is doing miracles of healing time and time and time again. And even at one point he goes out on a boat and he's asleep in the boat and there's a storm and he calms the storm when he is woken up. And once he gets to the other side of the lake, he meets some men who have so many demons in them that the demons don't even have unique names anymore. They simply say that they are a legion. But he casts out the demons. And so we start to see that he is someone who has more authority, not just as a teacher, not just as a miracle worker, but someone that even the spirits have to obey, and even the winds have to obey. In chapter 9, he heals a paralytic and he calls to Matthew, the tax collector, and has him join as one of the disciples. So Matthew includes the story of how he started following Jesus in his gospel. And then that leads to questions from the religious leaders who are like, why are you associating with a tax collector, a sinner? But Jesus continues to do his ministry, healing the people who need healed, helping the people who need help, teaching through all of it. And in chapter 10, we get to this interesting point where now he has his 12 disciples, and what he does is he sends them out in groups of 2 to go and start preaching themselves, giving them authority to cast out demons, to heal the sick, and to proclaim the gospel everywhere that they went. We'll pick up next week in chapter 11.